Amazon brand stores. So just to give you a little bit of background, I led the marketing for an Amazon seller who grew from 30 million a year to 57 million a year. And a lot of that was our sponsored brands. The sales per month grew from 200,000 to 600,000 a month. And we sold over $16 million a year. Total over a few years working with them. And so I've got a lot of experience with that, and I want to help you guys out. So if you have a question on Amazon brand stores, you're invited to come and join the live and share your question. And until we get to that, so what I'm going to be doing is looking at some questions that people ask about brand stores and addressing those, as well as looking at some existing Amazon brand stores and reviewing what I think they're doing well, what they're doing poorly. And so you guys can learn from other people's experience so you don't have to repeat the same mistakes, and you can figure out how to build your store in a way that sells more so you can grow your brand faster and achieve your financial and lifestyle goals. So let's begin. The first question I want to talk about here about brand stores is whether you should add a post tab in your Amazon brand store. And if you do, how would you go about doing that? So, first of all, what is a post tab and what are we talking about? A post tab is a page on your brand store where people can see your latest posts. If you're not familiar, Amazon a couple of years ago introduced this thing where you can share images with some text and link back to your products, sort of a Instagram for Amazon products, and they called it Amazon Posts. They don't get a lot of traffic. There's not a lot of people clicking them. There's not a lot of people converting from them. You can find case studies on YouTube of people who tried them out and didn't get a lot of sales from them. So I don't think it's particularly useful. We have done a lot of posting and also not seen a significant impact on sales. So I wouldn't encourage you to spend the time to do it. Let's see if I can just quickly bring this up in a store we manage. Not sure how to do that without sharing the store. Might have to do that on another occasion once I'm a little more familiar with YouTube Live. Okay. I'm going to be prepared ahead of time before the live. Okay. Let's go to the next question. Anyway, basically, once you do that, you add a page like you normally would in your brand store. And what you want to do, you can do it with the AI builder, or you can do it without AI assistance. So let's try this build post tab in the store. Let's see. Switch this around. What kind of page you wanting to add to your store? Enter title of your page. Posts from our brand. Check out others using our product. Typically, the description is not seen by anybody except for Google, and the page title also is not particularly significant. Please add some products. Okay, and this is where it gets sticky because I don't want to show who the client is. So we call it a day with that. And let's go to the next question. Okay, how to add a product in a brand store on Amazon. To add a product to a brand store on Amazon, you basically have two options. You have the product tile. The tiles in the Amazon brand store are just content placeholders, and they all allow you to insert different kinds of content, whether that's images, whether that's products, video, all sorts of things. So if you just have a single product or up to less than 4 products, you can just add individual product tiles, and that'll also allow you to customize, for example, the product name, the description, the images over there. But you, I think, won't be able to see you won't be able to check the performance of that against your normal product details. If you look in your Amazon business reports to see what's going on with that, you won't be able to tell apart what is the result of the brand store product description that you wrote custom versus the main one on your product listing. But that's it. You just add a product title, choose the product. It's basically a pretty simple form, and that's how you'd go about doing it. You can also use the product grid, and as the name implies, it arranges them in a grid format. So on desktop, it shows 4 per row. On mobile, you'll see 2 products per row, possibly more. And essentially, that's how you can add a product to your Amazon brand store. For those who are just joining us now, I'm David Goldenberg. I led the marketing for an Amazon brand that grew from 30 million a year to 57 million a year, and we did a lot with Amazon brand stores. And so today we're doing Q&A on brand stores. So if you have a question, please post it here, and I'll try to answer your questions as they come up. In the meantime, I've got some questions prepared that people are interested in, and we're addressing those over here as we go. Also, if you want to get your store reviewed, you can feel free to share that in the chat, and we'll address what you're doing well, what you're doing poorly, and go from there. So next question: is an Amazon brand store really needed for selling? No, technically you don't need an Amazon brand store to sell, but if you want to sell more, then yes, you do need. Why? I'll share a quick story. When at one point we were basically dominating the front page on our main category keyword, and the main category keyword, just to give you context, is one of the top 500 search terms on Amazon. So I remember one December in just that keyword we sold over $150,000 of goods. So do you need a store? No, but you can make a lot more, and here's how we found out about it. We tried to make we basically just grew and grew to the point where we had about 50% of the front page of Amazon search results for that top search term. And we're like, okay, great. How do we get more traffic? And we brought external traffic to the brand store from Amazon ads. And that was actually our second step. Originally, what we did was we took it directly to the product listing. And we knew the copy and the keyword selection was good because it was what was working in Amazon ads, and the Google ad system is basically pretty similar in terms of you target keywords and you write your ad copy. So we knew that part was right on, but the listings didn't convert. We took them to our best-selling listings, lots of reviews, lots of sales on Amazon. Didn't work that way. So fortunately, we were tracking things using the Amazon affiliate system when we took that Google Ads traffic to Amazon, and we saw we were selling our competitors' products. So we saw, okay, look, the traffic is relevant. They're buying stuff within the market, but we don't want the traffic to leak to our competitors. And so the leak is more obvious if they go directly to a product page. So we thought, why don't we take them to our Amazon brand store instead? And when we did that, we managed to convert. It was, I think, around 2.5–3% conversion rate from Google Ads to our Amazon brand store. And that's how we saw that you can sell more if you're going to use an Amazon brand store. Likewise, there's an option when you create sponsored brands to either do a custom landing page or an Amazon brand store. And this is another reason why you would want to do that, because the custom landing pages, if you're involved with sponsored brands much, you'll see they're now adding sort of backfill. They want you to have, I don't know, something like 30 products on a page, which is a really bad idea, because when you overwhelm people with choice, they're less likely to make a decision. They feel like, oh, I'm afraid to make a mistake, and they just decide not to decide, which means you don't get the sale. So if you take that instead to your Amazon brand store, then you control the experience. For now, at least, they're not adding in random products. Like, we have a client with multiple different categories that are within the overall same thing, but fairly different, and they're just to give you an example, we're talking about like sofas versus wooden kitchen chairs. Okay, so if we take them to a custom landing page for sofas, then Amazon is backfilling wooden chairs at the end of the products we've added. And if you take them instead to your Amazon brand store, you won't have that problem. So that is another advantage and another way that you can sell more using Amazon brand stores. So technically, no, they're not needed for selling on Amazon, but you do get better performance if you use them instead of just the the custom landing page option. I'm looking at the live chat, not seeing, I thought I saw a comment, but maybe it was just a pop-up from YouTube. Okay. So we've addressed how to add a post tab. We talked about that. Talked about how to add product in your Amazon brand store and whether it's really needed for selling. Now, another question, why is my brand name not showing up on all products in your Amazon store? That's not necessarily a problem with your store. That might be a product listing issue. And so sometimes we've had the case where some of our products were listed with the brand name in lowercase, uppercase, title case, different things like that. That can prevent all of those products from even showing up for you to select. Sometimes you may not see them in the selection screen also if your brand is selected as default, but if you choose to select from all Amazon products, you will be able to find it by looking up the ASIN or the product more specifically. It's a weird thing, by the way, that Amazon allows you to sell other people's products in your brand store, but that's maybe a discussion for another time. So if your brand name is not showing up on all products in your Amazon brand store, what I would suggest is you check your product listings for to ensure that the brand name is spelled consistently across all of them with the same capitalization, same spacing, etc. if you have multiple words in your brand name. Let's see, how to fix Amazon brand store bug, no products listed. Add the products to your store, like we talked about earlier, using either Amazon product tiles or product grid. What about the product collection? Should you use that? That is a new tile that Amazon is offering for sellers. You can use the product collection tile. And in general, I don't recommend you do that for the very simple reason that when you make a product collection on your store, they also require you to have a huge graphic at the top. So you've got something like this. You've got your header at the top of the brand store page. Okay, this is where your logo is and maybe some keywords and some pictures. Then if you're using a product collection, you're going to have another huge graphic over here. Okay, and only then do you get to actual products. And this is a problem because if you're only going to have product after people scroll all this, for sure on mobile, but even in general, that is going to make it harder for people to find your products, to click through. And the whole point of your brand store is to help people find the right category and then find the right product within that category so they can choose it. So I would not advise you, at least for now, to use the product collections for your brand store. Okay. How to design a brand store on Amazon. If you're talking about the brand elements, what you're able to do with CSS in a normal e-commerce store, you don't have any access to the CSS in Amazon. Rather, you just fill in the content in predefined tiles that they give you. So you can choose which tiles and how to arrange them on your page, or you can use preset templates that they offer you. But in terms of the design, you can't change the CSS. So what do you do instead? Basically, you put in your logo, your fonts, your colors, whatever it is, into images and upload those into image tiles that you then arrange the way you want on Amazon. Okay, how do you add video to an Amazon brand store? So there's a video tile, obviously, and then you just need to hit the upload button and put that in. If you want to go live, there's a separate tile for going live with your Amazon brand store. And you obviously need to have your camera and audio equipment, etc., ready to get that done. How to open multiple brand stores on Amazon. Basically, you just go to the main brand store page, click add a store, and get started building. That's pretty straightforward. Can you link from one store to the other? Unfortunately not. That would be really helpful in terms of language. So for example, if your sponsored brands are attracting visitors who are typing questions or keywords in Spanish, obviously you'd be better off with a Spanish language brand store. But for the time being, at least, it's not the case that you can do that. What I would suggest you can do goes back to what we were talking about with adding products with the product tile, is that you can, since you can use that to customize the title of your product and the description, and that'll just show up in the store, you can use that for Spanish keywords. You can take your visitors to a page where you have your header graphic written in Spanish, and then you write the product titles and the product descriptions in Spanish, so that even though your main listing is just in English, once they click through, they've already got a pretty good idea what your product is about. They just might need to click a few pictures, and then they can go ahead and add to cart. So that is one workaround for people who are interested to expand their sales with Spanish keywords, which can be also potentially cheaper traffic depending on your category. Okay. How to visit brand store on Amazon under any product. There is a link to the brand store under your product listing title. If you go to the product listing page, if you're not familiar, provided that you already have a brand store built, you'll see a link that says visit brand X's store over there under the product title. And this is also very important to avoid leaking traffic, because if you don't have an Amazon brand store, then it just says brand X. And what that does is it takes people to search for your brand on Amazon, and your brand products may show up, but also other brands' products can show up, as opposed to if they click visit brand store under the product title, then they only go and browse your own products in the brand store. So I would encourage you definitely to build a store if you haven't. And that can be a way to discover your competitors' products, see the current status of your own brand store. If you're wondering what your designer or team are up to, that's where you can find the link. How do you create brand store pages on Amazon? Very simple. In the upper left of the brand store builder, you can see a link to build the to add new pages to your store. So let me switch the camera around over here and show you that real quick. One second. Okay, so over here we've got the add page button, and that's how you do it. If you want, you can add page without AI assistance, and that's another way to go about doing that. All right. Now let's go back to camera on me. Now, how to upload product images. In the Amazon brand store page, you need to use the image tile. You choose that, and then it's basically follow the instructions in the form. You upload your product, you choose the crop settings, and it's pretty self-explanatory from there. I do recommend, if you don't have text already in image, that you use the image with text tile instead, because what that can allow you to do is to link to your category pages from, for example, your homepage, or link to subcategory pages from your main category pages, and just specify what they're going to get to, which makes that image tile a lot more useful, right? So for example, if you have a picture of the front of a home, people don't necessarily know what you're selling or what you're trying to show over there. Hello, Tolan Misle, thanks for saying hi. Welcome to the chat. So, if you have this picture of a home as a image tile, so if you do that as an image with text, people are not necessarily going to know what exactly it is about the house you're selling, right? But if you do shop, living room, windows, for example, supposing that you're selling windows on Amazon or curtains, whatever it is, then you can add this text using the image with text tile, and that allows you to make your brand store a lot more user-friendly and helpful. Thank you. Glad you appreciate the tip. Yeah. More broadly speaking, I'll just expand on the point a little bit. The point of your homepage is not to make the sale right away. The point of the homepage is to drive people further into your store. And so what you want to have right after your header and logo keywords is basically a few image tiles or image with text tiles, okay, that lead people further into your main categories, right? Something like 3 to 6, let's say over there, you have whatever the pictures are, and that sort of thing can help you to get people where they're going, right? Sort of like how you have a greeter in your brick and mortar store, and the point of the greeter is that they're trying to tell you, hey, welcome to our shop. What are you looking for today? They're not saying, hey, welcome to our shop, can interest you in some whiteboard markers, we've got them on sale. They're asking you, what are you looking for? Oh, you want whiteboards? They're over there in aisle 3. You want whiteboard markers? Okay, they're at the start of aisle 3 at the end cap, something like that. They're just directing you around the store, and they're going to let the actual aisles over there, the actual displays, to do the selling. Same thing for your store. Once they come through to the category page, same thing. So over here, it's going to become, depending on how deep your catalog is, but I've worked with some larger sellers, so this is how we do it. If you have a big catalog, you have a subcategory link in your category page, and then down over here you have your products, because again, your goal is for us to help them find their way to the right thing, and then you can sell the product. Okay, let's keep going with the questions. How to change images in the brand store on Amazon. So you just navigate to the page you want to edit in your left hand navigation for the Amazon brand store builder, and you scroll to the thing you want to edit. Either you can choose it from within the main builder, or you can do it from clicking the page sections on the right hand side. And when you do that, you'll see there's 3 little buttons on the 3 little dots, on the right of any section, and you just click that, and then it'll say edit section, and that is how you do that. So hello, Tolan, do you have any questions? Please let me know. I'm seeing the chat. I'd love to hear from you, and love to hear a bit more about what you're selling, how much your annual sales are, that kind of thing. Let us know in the chat. Okay. Next question. So if you want to change your images in the store, that is how to go about doing it. Next question. How to open store on Amazon without brand. I think the intention is either without a brand of your own to open a seller account. Just go ahead and open a seller account. You don't need to have your own brand. You can sell other people's products. But it might be that you're asking about brand registry. Do you need to have brand registry to create your own Amazon brand store? The answer is yes. And there's not really significant requirements for that. You just need to have a trademark registered in the country you're trying to sell in, and fill that data in with the brand store registry. Amazon brand registry. When you apply for that, once you get brand registry, then you'll see the option to create an Amazon brand store. Next question. Let's see. How to create brand store on Amazon Tamil. I don't know if the question is looking for a Tamil language tutorial on creating brand stores, or about doing this for Amazon that caters to Tamil users. In any case, I don't speak Tamil, so I'm afraid we're out of luck on that. I apologize. Maybe one day. How to edit the brand store name in Amazon Seller. That's going to be under your store settings. You go there from the upper left navigation, and you can just edit the brand name over there. And yeah, that's it. You can also edit your brand logo from there in the top left navigation of your Amazon brand store. It'll say store settings. Let me try to show that over here. Store settings, you just click on that, and that will allow you to do it. Okay, how to create Visit Brand Store in Amazon. You don't create the Visit Brand Store links in Amazon. You need to create the brand store, and those links automatically get added to your product listings. Next question. How to fix brand name link to brand store, Seller Central, Amazon. Not quite sure what that is asking. Brand name link to brand store seller. Maybe the Visit Brand Store is not linking to your seller store. I would maybe just check again the brand name you put in the product listing. Make sure that it's spelled correctly. How to live on Amazon brand store. There's a tile. Maybe you guys are familiar with this, maybe not. If you go to the left-hand side of your page, let me try to show this over here. Under page sections, right, you can go to add a new section, and there is a live shopping section. Okay, so once you do that, I can show you the screen again without exposing who the client is. Unfortunately, I did that a little bit earlier, trying to avoid that. But basically, once you do that, you can click through. Let's try this like this. Maybe it'll work this way. Okay, that's what it looks like within the brand store builder. And if I click that, then I can go over here. I need an Amazon Live creator account. Okay, Amazon Live helps brands connect. So learn how to create Amazon Live creator. So you need to get that app with your Seller Central advertising console credentials. Okay. Oh, hey. And they're going to teach you how to do this over here. You add a new broadcast with a plus button, add a thumbnail that needs to be 1920 by 1080, add your stream style and start date time. And then you're going to need to have the camera ready and live so that you can shoot that live video. But that, in sum, is how you go live with Amazon brand stores. Okay. For those of you just joining now, my name is David Goldenberg, and I led the marketing for an Amazon brand that grew from 30 million a year to 57 million a year with God's help. And we did a lot with sponsored brands and Amazon brand stores. So today we're taking questions and giving answers on brand stores and also doing reviews. So let us know in the comments if you want to have your brand store reviewed or where you're at. Maybe you're still building your brand store, what category you're in, where you're getting inspiration. Is it just from your competitors? Are you doing your own brainstorming? Do you have a direct-to-consumer store outside of Amazon that you're taking things from? Love to hear. Okay. Now, what else? What other questions can we address? How to search a brand store on Amazon. There's a little search bar with most brand stores. Unfortunately, I hadn't found it to be so good, which is kind of surprising, but let me see if I can show you a good example. On Amazon, let's see. Okay, so let's switch the camera around. Okay, so these guys, well, Jim, obviously don't have their own brand store, so I'm gonna have to search for something else. Let's see if I look for, I don't know, basketballs. Okay, so Wilson should have their own brand store, I would hope. So this is the Wilson store, there you go. Okay, that's what we were talking about earlier. And now over here, you can search a brand store with this search bar, which you'll find on most brand stores. Unfortunately, it doesn't work as well as the main Amazon search for reasons I don't quite understand. So let's try. Let's see if I search for indoor basketball, will it give me good results? Final Four basketball, so this one says indoor outdoor. I don't know why this first result is not specifically an indoor outdoor basketball. That's a bit strange, right? Only the second one is. The third one is not specifically indoor. Fourth one is. So kind of funny results, but that is how you can search within a brand store. How to follow a brand store, that's a question I'm seeing here. You can just click the follow button. There's some stores which are trying to get you to click on that so that you'll see their Amazon posts. I talked about a bit earlier in this live broadcast that the posts don't really work too well to drive sales. There's people who've studied it. They hired VAs, post massive amounts of pictures, content, whatever, and it didn't drive significant sales in their selling account. So I wouldn't waste too much time on that. Looking at the questions over here. How to add the link to my brand store on Amazon. So like I said, if you want to get the visit brand store link on your product listings, you first need to create an Amazon brand store. How we can make a new Amazon store without a brand, you can't, but you have a storefront. And this is something a lot of people miss. There is an Amazon brand store and there's a storefront, and they're not the same thing. There's no such thing as an Amazon brand storefront. I don't care how many experts have told you there is, there isn't. There is a seller storefront and a brand store, and they're not the same. Let me try to show you the difference. So I don't know if Wilson are selling directly through their own seller account or through Amazon. Yeah, it's Amazon.com. But when you see the seller over here as a third party, let's see, Harry Potter book. Let's see. Okay. That is sold. No, this is a audiobook. Sorry, one sec. And that's sold directly by Amazon. If you see there, other used new collectible. Let's go to paperback just to illustrate this idea. Okay, here's a Home of Books. And Home of Books as a seller has a seller storefront. Okay, there's such a thing as a seller storefront. And this is what this seller is selling. Okay, this is a storefront. It's not a brand store, it is a storefront. Compare that with an Amazon brand store. This is what an Amazon brand store looks like. Okay, very different things. In a brand store, you build multiple pages, you control the pages, you control what products are shown, in what order they're shown, what the page names are, and everything else. In a brand store, basically, you don't have control. All you control is, what products you sell under your account, and then Amazon shows potentially multiple brands and categories over here on the left-hand side. You're not seeing them over here, but if there were brand names associated, you would see them over here. and that is the difference. This is actually useful if you want to see what's selling best. If I'm interested in a home of books, I want to look for, let's say, crafting books, right? Let's say they want to make a sponsored brand from within their catalog, supposing that they had a brand of crafting books, right? So over here, putting aside the sponsored brands, here you can see what they're selling. So if these were from the same brand, Awesome Engineering Activities for Kids, that would be their best book to sell on crafts. Then Cozy White Cottage, 100 Ways to Love the Feeling of Being Home, Complete Starter Guide to Whittling, right? So if we pretend, for argument's sake, that these were all from the same brand, this is a trick to figure out what you should promote on any given keyword. You come to your storefront, that allows you to search just for your own products that you're selling. And from there, Amazon own search algorithm will tell you what is likely to do best on any given keyword. So I like to do that when I'm creating new page in a brand store to help me figure out what products in the catalog should go there when I have a lot of overlapping products that can fit under one category or one theme, etc. Do I need a store brand to enable premium A+ content on Amazon? That is a good question. I believe that premium A+ content doesn't depend on your brand store existence, but I think you do need a brand registry. And so if you don't have brand registry, I think you also won't be able to make premium A+ content, but you could have brand registry and not create a brand store yet if, for example, you wanted to prioritize making the premium A+ content. Okay. How do you get brand approval on Amazon for a clothing store? Same as for other things, you need to have Amazon brand registry. Can we create Amazon store for selling other brands' products? If you are licensed to sell that, you have the right paperwork with Amazon, then yes, you can. I know a seller who made a brand store for Kodak. I believe Kodak as a company went out of business, but these people have, the right contracts and whatever and the inventory to sell, and so they made a store around Kodak film products, I think it was. Okay, so there's a few more questions, but they're kind of repetitive. So what I suggest we do is to go now and review some Amazon brand stores, and let's start with the Wilson store. If there's a way to zoom this out, that'd be grand. If not, we're going to do things like this. 1 minute, trying to stabilize the camera. Okay, let's call it like this. I'm going to have to hold this in my hand because I'm admittedly a newbie to going live, so I hope you guys can deal with this being a little bit shaky. I'll try my best to keep this stable. Okay, this is not Wilson's homepage. Let's go back from the search results. I don't know why clicking the header doesn't take you to the homepage. That's a interesting thing. Weird from Amazon to not allow that kind of standard e-commerce behavior. In any case, okay. So if I come here, they've got a text tile over here, Jet Game Indoor Basketball. Apparently they want me to learn more about that. Possibly, yeah, this video and this image appear to be connected. That's their jet ball. Unless this is just about these. Let's watch the video real quick. Hooper's Delight returns. Okay, so it's just people playing basketball, not telling me specifically about the ball or why it's any better for indoor basketball than anything else. And over here, they've got the product in all its glorious variations. This is size 5, 6, and 7. They have just released this new ball, but because the product titles aren't differentiated, you can't tell without clicking through which size each of these is. I would have a different image here. I mean, this is getting into product listing as opposed to specifically the brand store, but I would have the size show up over here on the ball, even if you have to Photoshop it in, it doesn't actually state the size on the ball itself, it's just on the box that it chips in, I would still do that. And okay, then you've got this FIBA 3x3 official ball, evolution. If I were Wilson, I would consider having some kind of a guide over here. In addition, like it's fine to have the product over here, but beside for the visual appearance, is there anything to make one of these balls more desirable for me to use than the other? Like this one seems to have some interesting texture, wave triple threat technology. I'd be interested to find out more about that maybe, but you're not telling me anything about it over here. This would be a decent place to explain that. I don't think you want to explain that at the expense of putting your products much lower, but you could arguably have a little infographic here on the right and then a product tile on the left for the Wilson Jet. I don't think also that you need all three sizes showing over here. Like, is this a very significant choice for me to choose between this one, this one, this one, when the images and the listings are essentially identical in the eyes of a customer? This is obviously dropping the ball, pardon the pun, on Wilson's part. You can just have one picture of one product listing and then people can choose a size when they get to the product listing, and over here it has some kind of explanation what's new and different about this ball. And why would I want the Jet as opposed to the Evolution? Is there a difference in quality between the colors over here and this one, or is this just a style thing? Same with the other colors over here. And again, I wouldn't necessarily put every single color on the page, like probably won't hurt, but you have other models, so I would move these up above the other Evolution models. I would put the Evo Next, the NCAA official game ball, and so forth. Are there any more beside the NCAA? Yeah, you have an NBA ball here as well, and another version of the Evo Next. So I would have some of these showing up a little higher. Your merchandising over here is not the best. And if they had a storefront, we would probably be able to see that. So since they don't, we can go over here, close this, and just look for what Amazon suggests when I look for Wilson indoor basketball. Okay, so their first choice is actually the NBA one, then the NCAA, then the Evolution. And then the Evolution Next. More variations on this Authentic Series Indoor. The NCAA Legend, which for some reason wasn't even on that page as well. That's another one you should probably have on your brand store, Wilson. And yeah, I think we can see here there's some definite opportunities to improve the merchandising on Wilson's indoor basketball page over here. Okay, so enough picking on their basketball page and on poor Wilson. They're not poor. There's a lot of things they're doing well. I think obviously this imagery showing who your target market is, showing the ball, the texture, what it looks like, this is excellent in terms of the branding, in terms of who your customer is, right? The lifestyle picture, I think that stuff is on point. Maybe we'll do one more page over here. I'm guessing since you have baseball and softball right after basketball, and this is NBA and WNBA, that this is your next main category. And if A2K is your best seller that you want to push, then it makes sense to have that there. But as somebody who doesn't know specifically what this line is, If I'm, for example, a parent of a kid who wants to get into baseball and softball, I don't know your product lines or why I would choose one of these instead of the other. So you'd be better off with more descriptive page names like you've got over here, fast pitch gloves, etc. And so if you still want to have these product line based pages, I would just have them show up in a different order. I would put them further down and start with these other ones here. So it would go fast pitch gloves, youth baseball gloves, etc. And then you put the A2K, A2000, and A1000 at the end. I'm also curious if there's a difference between A2K and A2000. That's a separate point. Let's see the main category page, how they're building this over here. Okay, so we've got some Mookie Betts, Los Angeles shortstop. He's holding one of their gloves. Is this clickable? Can I click on this to that glove? Apparently I can. So that's a missed opportunity. You can link image tiles to pages in your store. You could link it to a product page, or I think you can also link it to product listing. Yeah. And then this over here, okay, so now I can tell the difference between A2K and A2000, but your average, I don't know if your average baseball player knows what the differences are in your product lines. And so this is not so helpful. You would probably want to add at least 2-3 words detailing what is different, if it's just a style difference, or is there a qualitative difference between this? Is it different quality of leather? Is one of these gloves bigger, smaller, softer leather, harder leather, something else? Okay. And same thing over here. I get it. Okay, I get it. These are your main categories and you want to drive traffic to these pages. Fine. But beyond telling me that they're baseball gloves, what is different between these two? I sincerely can't tell. Not trying to be smart aleck or anything. Okay. I will say that this is exactly what we were talking about earlier, though, that on your main category pages, you want to drive people to your subcategory pages. In that regard, this is really great. And I'm sorry, Wilson, if you're hearing this or watching this, for not starting with the best part of your page, but really it is great that you're starting with trying to drive people to your subcategory pages from the main category. I would just make sure to have a little bit more text in your images to be a bit more descriptive and help people better understand what they're going to get when they click through, right? What is the difference? Why should I visit this page versus this one? They're both baseball gloves, right? Okay. Then over here, you've got slow pitch. You have other things, protected gloves. I wouldn't ignore having product on this page. Some people are in a hurry to order, and I would just add that over here into the page. Okay, you've got glove care. That's great. This is pretty clear. I think it's probably some kind of a cream or what have you that I would rub on the glove to make sure the leather stays soft, doesn't crack. And let's go and check out a different brand. Let's look for Apple. Is Apple doing a better job with their brand store than, oh, don't know why maybe they're hiding this sponsored brand because I'm not located in the, that's funny. Apple's actually trying to sell me the produce when I'm, okay, so let's go to the Apple store. So here's the homepage. Oh, is it not correct? Yeah, it is a homepage. Okay. So I would not just limit myself to having the brand name over here. I would include maybe some of your top products in the main image. It's an opportunity to push them or show people using them, show them what they love, discover what's new. Okay, that's the thing that people are definitely into. If you're into Apple, you have to have the latest and greatest. View all. Okay, this is a main category callout. Watch. Okay, iPad, AirPods, Mac laptops, Mac desktops, Apple TV, accessories, Beats, gift cards. Okay, so this is great. This is really solid onto their homepage. They're trying to lead people into their main category pages. I appreciate that the big images are part of the brand. I would consider using smaller images so that I don't have to scroll forever to get to the things that are further down the page. Maybe you don't care. maybe you really just want me to go to these top 3 categories and you don't care if I go further on. But it's, a little bit slow. It would be, it could be a little bit better if you just made the images a little bit smaller. Not a killer. It's great you have also a call to action button over here. And I'll mention as well that this is showing what we were talking about earlier, that you can't put your own CSS in your brand store, but you can have your fonts and your colors and your design styles in the images that you upload to your brand store, and that's what Apple are doing over here. They're missing an opportunity, like I shared earlier with Wilson, I think, that they should have products on this page. Some people are just in a hurry to buy. They don't need to be driven further. And you can also show some deals here on the home page if you're running deals. Apple may not be running deals. Okay, here's our What's New page, Apple Watch. If that's their top category, let's go check out the category page and see what we've got there. Okay, the header here is not custom. And so I can see over here that there's an image of a watch and you've got something over here. Why not show me people over here wearing the watch? That's such, oops, sorry, filming the wrong screen over there. Such an easy opportunity. If I click through to the watch page, why not show me a couple of people wearing your watch? Why do I have to scroll to get there? Okay, Apple Watch Ultra 3 GPS plus cellular. Okay, presumably that's this over here. Again, I suppose this works with Apple's design styles, but I don't know why these are two separate images. Like, could this not fit somewhere here? Like, you would still have a lot of white space if you had an image of this over here. Maybe because you wanted to show it in all its glorious detail. Whatever, not sure. Apple Watch Series 11 with GPS, but not cellular. Not sure. I thought that all the Apple Watches also had cell phone service built in. What am I missing? I guess I need to be more of an Apple geek to answer that. Or maybe it's just Apple is not communicating very well. But it would seem that the Apple Watch Series 11 by implication doesn't have cell phone service, maybe? Yeah. Oh, no, the Series 11 can have GPS plus cellular. Just this one is GPS only, I guess. Interesting. Why would you show me the less functional product before the more functional one? I don't know. SE3, okay. And similar comment to Apple, to what I was sharing with Wilson, you know your products, but everybody else doesn't know your product. And so why do I have to just guess at what the differences are here besides for the appearance? Like, okay, I can grasp that the wristband and the face, whatever here is different between the Ultra 3 and the Series 11. But within Series 11, this looks pretty much the same except for the colors. But you're telling me this has GPS, but it doesn't have cellular, and this one does have cellular, just because of the color. And then we're back to GPS without cellular on the SE3. Is that the only difference between these watches? I think you could do a much better job being clear what's the deal with this stuff. Apple Watch accessories, guys, reviews are such a basic element of social proof, and you're using the wrong tiles over here. It's kind of funny for Apple, who are always considered to be a leader in e-commerce, making these kind of basic errors on their brand store. But I'm sure you've got reviews on these things. Why not just use normal product tiles so that people can see, this has, I don't know, 5,000 reviews, this has 1,000 reviews. A new wristband has how many reviews? Let's check it out. There's 100 reviews, right? That's something. Why don't you show me that by using a product tile instead of a static image of the product, right? The charging unit, the power adapter. You've got 800 reviews, right? And 4.8 stars. That's pretty good. Why don't you let me see that? So all of you guys building your own brand stores, you don't want to use just static images to, sorry, they have the image tile which you can use in a layout. Let me try to show you that 1 second, how they get that layout working in their brand store. It's a particular section, a particular tile, but unfortunately that tile is not so functional. If I go add new section over here, hold on a sec. Okay, I'm going to add new section. Okay, and if I go to split section, this is what Apple Store is doing. They've got a split section here, and they're choosing, let me show it to you. Variable height section layout, no. Basic section layout. I think it's something like this essentially. No, with 4, right? They've got this. It looks different here on mobile versus desktop, but this is the one that we just saw Apple using, right? And then you get something like this: add a tile, add a tile. The problem is when you do this split section, right? Look what it gives me. I can put text, I can put an image with text, shoppable image, product. Okay. If I do this single product, unfortunately, it's not going to have the reviews. So let me just show that to you. We're going to go back and get the this ASIN, right? So if I do copy, and I'm recreating here the Apple Store, there it is. Look at that, no reviews, right? Why is that? Because I'm putting this into a split section. When you do this, even though it's a product tile, Amazon doesn't import your reviews, just the price. So that's just such an easy win that you're missing out on. And I don't think it's so worthwhile for the sake of having just a blob of text that says Apple Watch accessories. Like, dude, I get it. This is an accessory. I didn't think this was an Apple Watch. I didn't think this plug shaping thing is a watch. I didn't think, I mean, this one maybe somebody could mistake for a watch, but kind of a stretch. And maybe somebody could mistake the bracelet lines on for a watch, the watch band. But basically, I would just drop this and just have like a little product grid over here with links to these products. That way you would probably get more click-throughs and more sales on the people that do click through. So that was a little teardown on Apple's brand store. As I was saying to you guys earlier, I'm David Goldenberg, and I led the marketing for an Amazon brand store, Amazon brand that grew from 30 million a year to 57 million a year. We did a lot with Amazon brand stores, and we just tore down the Wilson brand stores on Amazon, the Apple brand store on Amazon. And this recording should go live on the channel very shortly. If you're interested to find out more about that, you can check it out. And I founded the 11 Ads for Brands agency, specializing in sponsored brands on Amazon and brand stores. So if you want to increase your profitability from your sponsored brands or from your ads in general on Amazon by at least 20% in the next 6 weeks, get in touch. Check us out at 011adsforbrands.com. 011, that's 11adsforbrands.com.